put
Thank
this
you.
over here. You want to?
Thank you. That kind of got me off balance. Do I get to open this now? Of course. Of course I do, if I can. You know, I have a habit of tearing packages open. My stepfather used to say, "Save the paper." What for? There's always more. Thank you, sweetheart. All right, I can do this. I know I can. And if I can't, I'll give it up. Oh, my favorite. Nambe. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Put that out with little dillies in it. And think about Bonnie and this wonderful congregation every time I look at it. Well, you know, I have this reading that I've been wanting. What do I do with it? I've been wanting to find a place to share it. So I found a place right here. And I love this. Maybe some of you have heard this. The university professor challenged his students with this question: did God create everything that exists? A student bravely replied, "Yes, he did." The professor said, "God created everything?" "Yes, sir," the student replied. Professor answered, "If God created everything, then God created evil. Since evil exists, and according to our principles that define everything, our works define who we are, then God is evil." The student became quiet. The professor was quite pleased with himself and boasted to the students that he had proven once more that the Christian faith was a myth. Another student raised his hand. "Can I ask you a question, Professor?" "Of course," said the professor. The student stood up and asked, "Professor, does cold exist?" "What kind of question is this? Haven't you ever been cold?" The student snickered at the young man's question, and the young man replied, "In fact, sir, cold does not exist. According to the laws of physics, what we consider cold is in reality is the absence of heat. And when it has or transmits energy, the heat is what makes the body or matter have or transmit energy. Absolute zero, minus 460 degrees, is the total absence of heat. All matter becomes inert and incapable of reaction. Cold does not exist. We have created the word to describe how we feel if we have too little heat. Cold doesn't exist." The student continued, "Professor, does darkness exist?" "Of course it does," said the professor. The student replied, "Once again, you're wrong, sir. Darkness does not exist. Darkness is in reality the absence of light. Light we can study, but not darkness. In fact, we can use Newton's prism to break white light into many colors and study the various wavelengths of each color. You cannot measure darkness. A simple ray of light can break into a world of darkness and illuminate it. How can you know how dark a certain space is? You measure the amount of light present. Isn't this correct? Darkness is a term used by man to describe what happens when there is no light." Finally, the young man asked the professor, "Sir, does evil exist?" Now, uncertain, the professor responded, "Of course. As I have already said, we see it every day. It is in the daily example of man's inhumanity to man. It's in the multitude of crime, violence everywhere in the world. These manifestations are nothing else but evil. To this, the student replied, "Evil does not exist, sir." At least it does not exist unto itself. Evil is simply the absence of God. It is just like darkness and cold, a word that man has created to describe the absence of God. God did not create evil. Evil is not like faith or love that exists just as light and heat. Evil is the result of what happens when man does not have God's love present in his heart. Think about that a moment. It's like the cold that comes when there is no light, no heat, or the darkness that comes when there's no light. The professor sat down. The young man's name, Albert Einstein. I love that. I've been looking for a place to share it, so I found a place. Last week, Reverend Bonnie told you that I had shared with her that as ministers, our job is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And if there's anyone here that it needs comforting this morning, there's a wonderful practitioner right there, Bob, and he will pray with you and he will comfort you. I'm here to afflict you. So fasten your seatbelts. Otherness is a myth. It doesn't exist, just like darkness and cold. There is no such thing as otherness. And I was given this topic. Next time I'm going to ask what the topic is before I agree to speak. Diversity, inclusion beyond otherness. You think about, how are you going to build a talk around that? Well, I did something. We'll see what I built. What is diversity? A mixture of individuals in society. Diversity recognizes that everyone is different. Some differences people are born with and cannot be changed. Other differences are adopted and part of our unique identity. Inclusion is the process whereby an environment is created that harnesses the power of those differences. Inclusion forces people to abandon many long-held beliefs or practices. Far too often, a lack of inclusion is led to the lack of exposure to different ideas and perspectives. People bring many different ideas. Having a diverse group will greatly enhance the chances that a better idea will come forward. Well, yeah, in theory, we all agree with that. Oh, yes, that's beautiful, that's wonderful, until somebody different comes to our group, and then we go, oh, wait a minute, I didn't mean that. On Sunday morning, it's nice, warm, and fuzzy, and we love everyone. Love everyone because they're all New Thought people. But what about the Baptists? The Catholics? The Methodists? Do we love them the same as we love everyone here in this room? What about those different people that want to come join us? My friend Ram Dass wrote this. When you go into the woods and you look at trees, you see all these different trees. Some of them are bent, some of them are straight, some of them are evergreens, and some of them are whatever. And you look at the tree and you allow it. You see why it is the way it is. You sort of understand that that one didn't get enough sun, so it turned this way, and you don't get all emotional about the differences. You just allow it. And I will add, appreciate it. The minute you get near humans, you lose all of that. You're constantly saying, yeah, you're to this, and you're to that, and I'm to this. And judging mind comes in, and I practice turning people into trees. Think about that. Which means just appreciating them the way they are. So why is it that we appreciate differences in nature? We appreciate different colored flowers. Beautiful, beautiful different colored flowers. We appreciate different colored birds and different colored dogs and horses and all of that. But then you get into the human race and, oh, it's different. I don't like different. We celebrate diversity in animals, in trees, and flowers, but we don't celebrate diversity in humanity. We might say we do. We might think it's a great idea. We appreciate beauty in those dogs, all the different colors. But a person of color comes to our little white group. I don't think so. We're like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want this. Now, on Sunday morning, we say, oh, she's wrong. I appreciate all different races, all different people. I love them all. But on Monday morning, do you? Monday afternoon when you're having a meeting and that homeless, dirty person comes walking in the door with long, dirty hair, do you appreciate that? Not usually. So why is otherness a myth? There is no other. We're not all alike, but we are all one family. You know, we teach in the New Thought community. We are all expressions of the divine. We all have that divine within us. But do those people down the street, do the Methodists have the divine within them? Yeah. Do the street people have the divine within them? Yeah. It's up to us to find that divine and to appreciate it and to honor it and not discount it. You know, Einstein, our friend Albert Einstein, said, cannot solve a problem in the same consciousness in which we created it. And yes, we created it. We have created separation. We have created anger. We have created war. We have created discrimination. We have created the problem on the border. We have all created it, and it's up to us, because we know how, to raise that consciousness and uncreate the problem. We cannot uncreate it through criticism. How did we ever get to the point of criticizing to change things? I found this wonderful little book, We Consciousness, and I'm going to read to you from it. The essence of who you are. Again, you are one with everyone and everything. You are not separate from God or from others. Even though you may be only one person, your thought forms actually do affect in a big way. I'm going to say that again. Your thought forms actually do affect in a big way. If you have negative thoughts, those around you who have similar or lower vibrations are constantly being reinforced by these thoughts. On the other hand, when you have positive thoughts, you influence everyone around you in a positive way. Think about that, friends. In other words, negative energy cannot penetrate into the higher levels of energy, but the higher levels of energy can penetrate into the lower levels. This is because positive energy has a higher and stronger vibration than negative energy, which has a slower and weaker vibration. Now that explains why criticism just adds to the problem, doesn't solve the problem. So if I'm sitting out there in a meeting and we start talking about a situation and I start criticizing that situation, oh, they shouldn't do it that way politically. We do that a lot. Oh, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't do that. Shouldn't do that. What am I doing? I'm adding to the problem. So what is my job? To raise my consciousness, to raise my thought vibrations so that I don't add to the problem, but I add to the solution. You know that old saying, do you want to be part of the problem or part of the solution? I think I'd rather be part of the solution. We humans, we seem to want everyone to do things the way we think they should. You know, the government didn't call me and ask if it was all right to do this. They didn't check in with me about building the wall. They didn't check in with me about this or about that or about the other thing. Well, it's not their fault. It's not their responsibility to check in with me. My responsibility is to bless it, whatever it is, whether I agree with it or disagree with it. My responsibility is to bless it because we are all one human family. And the more I bless that person, the more that person responds to my blessing, even if he or she doesn't know me. You know, I am sure that I am benefiting by many people's blessings, people that I know and people that I don't know. And others are benefiting by my blessings. If I do a general prayer and bless the entire universe, they're benefiting by that blessing. So why do we want to criticize someone that's not wearing the same clothes that we think he or she ought to wear, or different hairstyle, or paint the room a different color? What difference can it possibly make to me? It's not, you know, my grandmother, who was an absolutely amazing metaphysician, she used to say to me, none of your spiritual business. Okay. All right then. By criticizing, we add negative energy. We add to what we don't want. We add to what we don't want. Think about that. You know, as you're sitting in your coffee, over your coffee some morning and reading the news or listening to the TV and, oh, nah, 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 nah. Think about it. You're adding to more of what you don't want. Bless it. Love it. Understand that that's God at work. And it's not up to me to outline how God is to work. It's just absolutely wonderful when we can appreciate the differences, when we can see something and say, isn't that interesting? Or, as the king and I, is a puzzlement. We can do that. It's a puzzlement. It's interesting. You know, I don't know about the rest of you, but in Unity we have an interesting saying when things don't suit us quite well. Oh, that's interesting. Try it. How boring it would be Think about this, artists, musicians, Mary Lynn. How boring it would be if we only had one note, middle C, no harmony, no variation. Our artwork up there, the artwork here, could be only one, no shading, one color, black, white, one color. How boring. And yet, as humans, we want everything to be uniform, just the way we think it ought to be. Now, maybe somebody has a better idea. I read this quote somewhere, and I don't know where I read it. What if we could protect our forest by understanding every tree? What if we could protect our children by understanding every child? What if we could protect our society by understanding every person? What if we take time when we see something that bothers us, take time to try to understand? Isn't that interesting? Is a puzzlement. You know, I admit that I don't fully understand, and I have a difficult time appreciating animal abusers, child abusers, bullies of any kind, but I'm working on it, friends. I really am. And I know what we teach, and I believe this, that if I see it out there and it bothers me, I have it in here. And so if I have it in here, it's up to me to heal it. It's not up to me to say, oh, you're bad, you're wrong, criticize, whatever. I have it in here, I have to heal it in here. And one of the methods that I use, I'm sure you're all familiar with this, the Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And say that over and over and over until you feel a release. And you have blessed that person, you've blessed that situation. You know, my friend Sally Taylor used to say, unity is not for wimps. And I'll extend that to New Thought is not for wimps. We can't be wimps. We can't be namby-pamby about this. We have to be like my grandmother, standing up there and pointing your finger and saying, this is the way it is. Get over it, friends. Have I afflicted anyone yet? Unity has a foundation statement. There is one presence, one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotence. What does that mean? We used to say that every Sunday morning. They probably still do. What does that mean? One presence, one power. What that means is that, just like Einstein proved, there is no evil, there is no dark, there is no cold. It's just the absence, and evil is the absence of God. So if I see what I perceive as evil, what's my job? Call God. Bring more of God into that situation. Love it. Love that animal abuser. We don't know what his or her background was. We don't know if he was abused as a child or otherwise. And it's not up to us to know. It's up to us to love. Evil does not exist. And it's up to us to seek the divine within, to see the divine within, recognize it and honor it. The true meaning of one presence and one power is there's not two powers. There's not God up there directing your life. There's not God in the government. There's not God in the Wi-Fi, God in the computer. There is only God. And God expresses through every one of us and through all of the animate and inanimate objects on this planet. That energy that we call God is one with all of us. You remember the story of the gods sitting around talking? Where are they going to hide the divine? Where are they going to put the divinity? And one of them said, oh, in the bottom of the ocean. Oh, no, humans will find that. Top of the trees, top of the mountains. No, humans are too curious. They'll be up there. And one of them finally said, put it inside. They will never find it inside. And I wonder why that is true. I was thinking about that. We search for the meaning of life. Why do I suffer? How can I succeed? How can I be more prosperous? Where's God? And yet we don't want to go inside. We search for the Holy Grail. We look in books and plays and movies, and our elder brother Jesus taught us the answer, and we tend to say, he didn't know anything. That was 2,000 years ago. That was just him. He taught us the answer, and masters have been teaching us the answer forever. The answer is within. Your prosperity is within. Your healing is within. Your love is within. So why do we fear it? I don't know. But everything we need, everything we want, is all inside. You remember that commercial? I think it was Sears. It's all inside. It's all inside. Let's have a moment of prayer. Infinite Spirit, we are blessed to be here this morning and blessed to understand that everything that we could need or want is within. It's all inside. And I give thanks. I give thanks for the awareness that I have access to everything I need. And I give thanks that I have access to loving my brother and my sister and my neighbor. And so it is. Amen.